Here now is Josh McDowell talking to the Campus Crusade for Christ staff at their headquarters in Orlando, Florida, right here on Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk.
We are going through this very moment that we're sitting here, the fastest cultural change in the history of America. And I would say 95% of believers are missing it. They're seeing indications of it, but not what is really happening. And I want to address that issue because it's becoming a whole foundation of having to speak out on right from wrong. And what I'm talking about is what has become the number one virtue in America. The number one virtue in America has become the number one threat, or one of the top 2 or 3 threats to the cause of Christ. Can anyone tell me what that number one virtue is? Used to be justice, not anymore. Justice is no longer the number one virtue. It's been relegated way down the ladder. What is the number one virtue that we face in America? Anyone? Tolerance. Tolerance. And here's the problem. So many kids come home from school, and mom will say, well, what'd you talk about today? Or what went on? Well, we talked about tolerance. Oh, that's wonderful. We need to be tolerant. No, it is not wonderful. And it undermines everything that you believe in. Now, some of you sitting there, and I can just look in your eyes saying, wait a minute, Josh, you're off base. No, I'm not. You listen carefully. The reason I'm saying what I'm saying is this, is that we're singing off 2 different song sheets. You see, we're in a transitional period where there's 2 distinct definitions of tolerance. One by parents and people our age right here, the other by kids. And what is being ingrained and taught to our kids is totally different than what is in your mind as a parent. And let me explain that. Pretty much here, you have been conditioned by what is referred to as traditional tolerance. It is now referred to as negative tolerance. Negative tolerance. Negative tolerance would be defined by the Random House Unabridged Dictionary, when it says tolerance is to recognize and respect others' beliefs, practices without sharing them, or to bear or put up with someone or something not especially liked. That is how almost everyone in this room has been conditioned with tolerance. Now that is referred to as negative tolerance. In our circles, we would say, and think we're very godly for saying it and very righteous saying, well, you know, you're to love the sinner but to hate the sin. You say that in most university classrooms in America, and you will immediately be labeled a heretic, a bigot, and intolerant. If you have the gall to say one of the most intolerant statements today, that you are to love the sinner, but hate the sin. And the reason is, we're singing off a different song sheet. This is so critical that Dr. Ristad Legutko, in an article called The Trouble with Toleration, says, toleration is the ultimate and only generally accepted litmus test of morality. No other single category, not justice, not equality, not even freedom, has won such wide moral support in the Western world. We say things like, you know, I love you, but I don't believe in what you stand for. I love you, but I don't believe in your lifestyle. Now, the way we've been conditioned, that is righteous and that is tolerant. Under the new song sheet, that is so intolerant, it's pathetic. Now, there's a new tolerance out. Now, the new tolerance is called positive tolerance. Over against what you've been conditioned in, negative tolerance. Positive tolerance basically says this. Every single individual's beliefs, values, lifestyle, and truth claims are equal. In other words, there is no, and the new buzzword is no hierarchy. In other words, there's no truth greater than another truth. There is no belief greater than another belief. There is no value greater than another value or lifestyle. Because the moment you say that your lifestyle is better than somebody else's lifestyle, that is hierarchy, and today that is labeled bigotry, intolerance. Because you're saying there is hierarchy or pyramidal when it comes to values, beliefs, truth claims, or lifestyle. All individuals' beliefs, values, lifestyles, and truth claims are equal. For example, I make this statement, I believe Jesus Christ is the Son of God. This young lady over here says, no, after seeing all the good works and everything else, helping children, I believe Ronald McDonald is the Son of God. Now, we laugh at that, but listen carefully. Under the Constitution, we both have an equal right to hold it. But under tolerance, both are equal. Do you see the difference? The new definition for bigotry and fanatics is this. The fanatic or bigot is no longer a person with excessive religious or quasi-religious and usually mistaken enthusiasm for a certain system of beliefs, but one who chooses some form of hierarchy is a bigot. In other words, you say there's a lifestyle greater than another lifestyle. There's a truth greater than another truth. There's a value greater than another value. That's bigotry today. And that's intolerance, fanaticism, and heresy. Dr. Frederick W. Hill, a school administrator at a national convention, said, "It is the mission of public schools not to tolerate intolerance." Because if you tolerate intolerance, you're being intolerant. And you're going to see what I mean by that. We look at people and say, well, you're so inconsistent. You're not being tolerant. Well, if they're tolerant, if most people in culture is tolerant towards you with what you believe, then they're being intolerant. I said to my son, I said, Sean, have they taught you to be tolerant of the intolerant? He said, no. I said, that's right, son. I said, they've taught you to be tolerant of the tolerant and given you permission to be intolerant of the intolerant. He said, Dad, that's right. But he said, none of my friends understand that. I said, that's right. And what Hill was saying is that if we're not intolerant of the intolerant, then we are not being tolerant and we're bigots. All truth is relative to the individual under positive tolerance. All truth is equal because it's only individual expression and opinion and belief. Because an objective God has been removed from Western civilization thought. This is why today they say you don't have morality, you have opinions. That's another new buzzword, opinions. Now, here's a basic difference between negative tolerance and positive tolerance. Under negative tolerance, the word was permission. Whether the gays, lesbians, or what. We want permission from society to live our lifestyle in peace. And we say, okay, you can. We don't agree with you, but you have permission to do it. Under positive tolerance, it's added a word. Now, it's not only permission, but praise. And the new phrase is permission and praise. In other words, we not only want your permission, we demand your praise. And if you do not give us praise, then you're intolerant and you're a bigot. This is why Dr. R.M. Hare, a philosopher, put it this way. He said, tolerance is a readiness to respect other people's ideas as if they were your own. And under positive tolerance, if you do not give praise to another person's beliefs, values, lifestyle, or truth claims, as you do your own, then you are intolerant and a bigot. You see, it's totally opposite of what most of us condition with. But when our kids come home and say, oh, we talked about tolerance, in almost every situation, it's positive tolerance. But we are responding as parents with having been conditioned with negative tolerance. We say, oh, that's wonderful, when it undermines everything that we believe. It's like Stephen Kahn said in Liberalism and the Idea of Tolerance. He said, they also desired to be esteemed in this choice by the community and to even win the applause against the will, so to speak of the fans. And what he's saying is this. If we do not applaud other people's lifestyles, beliefs, values, and truth claims as we do our own, then you're a bigot and you're intolerant. And then as Kenneth Stern, Dr. Stern, writing an article called Battling Bigotry on the Campus, in writing to the university presidents, he said, we must make the university, quote, comfortable for all its members. In other words, no matter what the lifestyle or what, we must not only give permission, we must give praise. And they must feel comfortable that what they're doing, their lifestyle, their belief, their value, their truth claim, is equal in value to anyone else in the campus. That's called positive tolerance. Chuck Colson, in his novel called Gideon's Torch, hit on it. Chuck is one of few people that really understand what's happening in culture and can read it. Emily Ganin is the new Attorney General nominee in the story. And a conservative senator on the committee is grilling her. Truth, sir, Ganin said, her eyes sparkling. Now on the offensive is when a government sees to it that every individual can enjoy his or her full and equal opportunity. When every man and woman following the dictates of conscience is not just tolerated, but respected in their lifestyle choices. When bigotry, that is saying one lifestyle is greater than another, one value is greater than another, when bigotry is banished from our common life. Every single individual's beliefs, values, truth claims, and lifestyles are equal. That's called positive tolerance. This is not a conspiracy. Please understand that. It's not a group of evil men and women getting together and saying, we're going to destroy evangelical Christianity and the Mormons and the Muslims and everyone else. No, this is not. And everybody likes to find a conspiracy. It's not a conspiracy. No, there's a lot of people taking advantage of it. I don't blame them. There's many people taking advantage of what's happened historically. I think there's several basic reasons. There's many, but several basic ones of how we got to positive tolerance. One is a natural progression of history to where we are today, not a conspiracy. Going all the way back to the 13th century in Italy, you have a video here, say, of the world, of history. God, the creator God, Western civilization's at the top, created man is at the bottom. Along came the Renaissance. And the Renaissance elevated man about a quarter of the way and brought God down about a quarter of the way. And the Renaissance probably wouldn't have had that great of an impact if it hadn't been followed by the Enlightenment, the age of reason. Man is the master of his soul. Man, through reasoning, can solve all the problems, understand life, everything. And with the Enlightenment, man was elevated up to about halfway, and God was elevated down in Western thought. Then, later on, and there are many other factors playing here, but then came, of all things, the Industrial Revolution. And the Industrial Revolution said, we don't really need God. Look at the great exploits. Look at the great things man can do. And when the Industrial Revolution, philosophically and everything, man was elevated another quarter up to 3/4, and God was elevated down to 1/4 from the bottom. And then came Darwinism. And they said, look, we don't even need God to determine the origin of man or the universe. And in Western thought, God fell off the screen. And man was elevated to the position of the creator. And all of a sudden, philosophically in universities, everything, it caught up with us. And all of a sudden say, wait a minute. There is no objective God, which has always been the basis of truth. There's only man. So therefore, all truth is relative. There's no objective truth to appeal to. And if all truth is relative, then truth is an opinion of man. Therefore, all truth is equal. And whatever they determine is morality is just different opinions of man, because there is no objective basis for truth, which you need for morality. And to me, much of this is a progression of history. Over the years now, I've given over 22,000 talks at close to 1,000 universities in 83 countries, including Texas. And so I have a little background to make some of these statements. Up until 4 or 5 years ago, in universities, well, first let me ask you, who is the number one heretic in universities today? Who's the number one bigot? Anyone? Christian who? Evangelical or evangelists? Say the street evangelists. We'll refer to that. The street evangelists, someone like myself coming in. About 4 or 5 years ago, up until then, this is the way you were heckled. I don't believe that. Prove to me that Jesus is the Son of God. I don't believe Christ was raised from the dead. I don't think God exists. Substance. You know how you're heckled today? The moment you say, Jesus is the way, the truth, and life, they won't say, I don't believe that. I don't think Jesus is the Son of God. They'll say, what right do you have to say that? You're a bigot. You have no right to say that. You're intolerant. The issue of the statement is not the key, the truthfulness of it. The issue is style. What right do you have to say it? You're saying there's one truth or lifestyle higher than another? Yes. You're a bigot. You're intolerant. Salvation is found in no one else. What right do you have to say that? See, 7, 8, 9 years ago, you wouldn't have heard that. The issue is, would have been, well, I don't believe that. What about Muhammad? What about Buddha? Now is, what right do you have to say that? You're intolerant. There's been a complete epistemological, a shift in the source of truth, an epistemological shift in Western thought. And it's now just being fleshed out. Now, you men and women better remember, what I am talking about here is not something that's going to happen. It has already happened. All we're seeing now are the outworkings of it. There has been a complete shift. And I talked to so many Christian leaders, and I've talked to people within Crusade even. And they'll say, oh, Josh, you're getting upset over nothing. Look, I have faith in America. I had one leader say, well, look at all the Republicans that were elected. And I say, yeah, look at them. America won't stand with us. They'll rise up. I say, you're forgetting one thing. As far as I know in the history of America, it's the first time we've had a sociological, anthropological change based upon an epistemological shift of truth. It's never happened before in America as far as I know. And I cannot find any time in history where an epistemological shift was ever reversed. Rationalism? Humanism? Enlightenment? Darwinism? No. And if God tarries enough, in a number of years, you will look back to tolerance the same way people look back to humanism, rationalism, enlightenment, Darwinism, everything. It'll be equal to all that. So we better wake up. We are facing something we have never faced before in the history of America and Western world, and that is a cultural change based upon an epistemological shift of truth. And that makes it a whole different ballgame.
Well, I think you can see why we so strongly urged you to stay with us today for this edition of Dr. James Dobson's Family Talk, hearing from our guest, Josh McDowell. That is a rather sobering message, but Dr. Dobson, he does not end there. There's a whole lot more content to present, and we'll be hearing the balance of that next time.